plant breeding in the Soviet Union. The production of grain and other food and technical crops is one of the chief tasks of the next 5-year plan in Soviet agriculture. The variety of plants or the breed of animals plays an important part in the quantitative and qualitative improvement of production in plant industry as well as in animal husbandry. Until the October Revolution, this country was cultivated chiefly with ordinary, non-selected varieties. Only a small area of imported selected varieties of oats, barley and sugar beet could be seen in the villages, and not more than 1 or 2% of all the acreage was under selected varieties. One of the main achievements of Soviet agricultural science since the revolution lies in the sphere of plant breeding. As a result of this work, many regions of the Soviet Union are at the present cultivated solely with selected varieties produced by our experimental stations. The total area now under selected improved varieties produced by Soviet plant breeders comprises no less than 200 million acres, nearly 2/3 of the total sown area in the Soviet Union. All cotton lands in Transcaucasia, Turkestan, southern Ukraine, and in the North Caucasus, covering about 5 million acres, are sown exclusively with selected American and Egyptian cotton, improved during the last 10 years by Soviet plant breeding stations. All sugar beets cultivated in the Soviet Union are of new, improved varieties. A good deal of our sugar beet seed is now exported. A great part of our flax, which covers about 6 million acres, is of new varieties produced by Soviet experimental stations. Experiments show that the introduction of good varieties increases the yield not less than 15 or even 20%. In newly cultivated regions, the increase in yield obtained by using improved varieties is even greater, 50% and more. In our planned socialist agriculture, the role played by the state organization of varietal taste, organized in 1923, is an important one. All new varieties produced by the various plant breeding stations, as well as good local and foreign selected sorts, undergo careful comparison in the different regions to determine which varieties are the most suitable, taking into account not only the yield, but also the quality of seeds, percentage of protein, oil, sugar, different milling and packing qualities. All this is also taken into consideration in deciding which variety should be used as the standard for each region. Only the best sorts, most suitable for the given region, as determined by the state varietal taste, may be cultivated by local government. Of course, the individual farmers may, if they like, cultivate non-standard varieties, but this occurs very seldom, as the varieties produced by the state are, as a rule, the best. There are now 160 experimental plant breeding stations in the Soviet Union, working at improving various cultivated plants. In the extreme north, near the polar circle, situated on the 68th degree of north latitude, there is an experimental station of the Institute of Plant Industry, the most northerly station in the country. By persistent labor, this station has achieved very important results in obtaining new varieties of barley, oats, forage crops, and vegetables which thrive in this icy climate. The All-Union Institute of Plant Industry, established under the Soviet, is one of the largest scientific institutes in the world in the scale of its scientific work with various cultivated plants. Its expedition, sent to various parts of the Soviet Union, as well as to 65 countries of the world, have collected an enormous number of seed and plant specimens. Soviet expedition, for instance, have investigated many regions in Mexico, South America, in Mediterranean countries, Southern Asia, India, Afghanistan, Persia, Turkey, Abyssinia, with the result that the plant breeding station of the Soviet Union possess varietal material from all over the world, which is now being used for the improvement of Russian varieties. I can mention a few of the most important plant breeding institutes. One of the most interesting of our plant breeding institutions, headed by Professor Lysenko, is located in Odessa, southern Ukraine. Professor Lysenko has elaborated a new method of inducing acceleration of the growth rate of seeds, which is called vernalization. This method has been applied over an area of 25 million acres this year. Dr. Meister, one of the best Soviet plant breeders, is head of the Saratov plant breeding station, located in the southeastern section of the European part of the USSR. The spring and winter varieties of wheat selected by this station now cover many millions of acres. Very important work is now being carried on by the Omsk Institute of Grain in western Siberia, headed by Dr. Tsitsin. A new institute of theoretical genetics has been founded recently by the Academy of Sciences of the USSR. The aim of this institute is to elaborate the theoretical basis of plant and animal breeding. Let us review briefly the plant breeding methods used by the Soviet Union. First, important results obtained in plant breeding are achieved by the simple method of selecting individual pure lines from among local and foreign mixed varieties. During the last 10 years, most of the best foreign selected varieties of cereals and other crops have been studied under different conditions in the field of the Soviet Union. The world cultivated plants took, so to speak, a state examination, which lasted several years. Several Swedish varieties of oats and a few varieties of brewing barley from Czechoslovakia, as well as several varieties of American maize, proved to be the most suitable for our conditions. On the other hand, most Soviet varieties of spring and winter wheat, as well as flax, red clover, barley, and rice, selected from old local varieties, proved highly satisfactory in most agricultural regions of the Soviet Union. As regards resistance to cold and drought, most of the Soviet winter and spring wheats surpassed the best foreign varieties. Similar results have been obtained in the United States. No less than half of the acreage of winter wheat in the United States is cultivated at the present time with Russian varieties, brought to America 40 or 50 years ago. Professor Lysenko recently introduced the idea of improving our local and standard varieties of wheat and other self-fertilized plants by artificial intra-varietal crossing. According to his experiment, such rejuvenation increases the yield and resistance to cold. He elaborated a new method of producing hybrids on a big scale by the simple process of clipping the upper part of spikelets with a pair of scissors and thus opening the flowers for pollination by the wind from neighbor plants. This year, several thousand collective farms will make experiments of this kind. As a result of selection, Dr. Grishko of the Institute of Hemp Culture in the Ukraine has produced a new variety of hemp with female and male plants maturing at the same time, whereas ordinarily the two sexes in hemp mature at different times. Dr. Belovitskaya, one of our collaborators, recently produced a new variety of hemp which has both sexes on the same plant and which ripens extremely early, helping simplification of the harvest. Instead of the old Asiatic cotton, this short staple, which was cultivated on a big scale before the revolution, we now cultivate only selected American upland and Egyptian cotton. Great improvement has been realized recently in regard to the quality of fiber, and in this respect, the cotton of the Soviet Union now occupies one of the first places in the world. About 300,000 acres have been put under Egyptian cotton this year in Transcaucasia and Turkey. Moreover, the so-called Sea Island cotton, which has the longest fiber, has recently been introduced into Transcaucasia, although a few years ago, not one cotton breeder thought it possible to cultivate this type of cotton in a continental country like the Soviet Union. The studies directed by Dr. Sinskaya in the Institute of Plant Industry have revealed recently an enormous wealth of wild species and varieties of alfalfa, clover, and different forage plants in the Caucasus.